Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please hit the subscribe. Now this start video. From the moment Celia Daniels arrived in the Yorkshire Dales, viewers knew they were witnessing the birth of one of Emmerdale's most chilling villains in recent memory. Played with unnerving precision by Jay Griffiths, Celia quickly established herself as a calculating, ruthless figure who hid monstrous crimes behind the facade of a respectable farming business. And ever since her dark secrets began to unravel, fans have been waiting for one thing: justice. Celia's reign of terror was built on exploitation, fear, and manipulation, operating a modern slavery ring from her farm while simultaneously running a drug trafficking operation. She left devastation in her wake. Vulnerable people were pulled into her orbit and stripped of their autonomy, their futures used as currency in Celia's relentless pursuit of power and profit. With a list of enemies that seemed to grow longer by the week, speculation about who would ultimately bring her down became one of the soap's most gripping mysteries. At the center of Celia's cruelty was April Windsor. The troubled teenager was groomed, coerced, and forced into prostitution, her vulnerability ruthlessly exploited by a woman who saw her as nothing more than a commodity. When April fought back against a violent client in self-defense, Celia twisted the situation to tighten her grip, convincing the terrified girl that she had killed the man. It was psychological abuse at its most sinister, designed to ensure April's silence and obedience. Unsurprisingly, April and her boyfriend Dylan Penders quickly emerged as prime suspects when whispers of Celia's downfall began circulating. Dylan, who had grown close to April during her ordeal, had every reason to despise the woman who destroyed her innocence. Viewers speculated that grief, rage, or desperation could push either of them to breaking point. Then there were April's parents, Marlon Dingle and Rona Goskirk. When April finally found the courage to tell them the truth about what she had endured, their horror was palpable. The guilt of not protecting their daughter sooner weighed heavily on them, compounded by Celia's cruel blackmail. Threatening to drag April back into a world of drugs and crime, Celia demanded £2,000 a week for her silence. Marlon and Rona paid without hesitation, sacrificing their own security to shield their child from further harm. Their desperation made them believable suspects, driven by parental love and fury. Beowulf was another character whose rage felt dangerously close to boiling over. After discovering that his estranged son Paddy Kirk had been groomed and forced into brutal labor on Celia's farm, Bear's anger resonated deeply with viewers. A former wrestler known for his strength and fiery temper, Bear seemed more than capable of exacting violent revenge on those who had harmed his family. Fans openly wondered whether Celia had pushed the wrong man too far. Maura Dingle, meanwhile, brought her own brand of righteous fury to the storyline. Initially believing Celia to be a legitimate business partner, Maura was left seething when she uncovered forged documents and dodgy invoices. When Celia cruelly suggested that Maura's brain tumor was affecting her judgment, the confrontation escalated instantly. Maura's now infamous slap became one of the storyline's most talked about moments, underlining just how dangerous Celia had become when crossed. With so many enemies circling, it felt almost inevitable that Celia's downfall would come at the hands of someone she had wronged. Yet Emmerdale delivered a devastating twist by revealing that her undoing came not from an enemy, but from within her own family. In a shocking sequence of scenes, viewers learned that Celia's adoptive son, Ray Walters, was responsible for her death. Played by Joe Absolom, Ray had long been a troubling presence in the village, but his true role in Celia's criminal empire only became clear as the story unfolded. Raised by Celia after being taken from a broken home, Ray had been conditioned to believe he owed his adoptive mother everything. Celia framed her actions as rescue, repeatedly reminding Ray that she had saved him. In reality, she stripped him of any chance at a normal childhood. Raised without affection or moral guidance, Ray was groomed into a life of crime, becoming Celia's most loyal enforcer. He presented himself as charming and trustworthy, luring vulnerable people like April and Bear into Celia's grasp while believing he was repaying an unpayable debt. Despite his crimes, Ray was not entirely devoid of conscience. Beneath the layers of manipulation and conditioning, there remained a fractured sense of humanity. That humanity surfaced in the most unexpected way through Laurel Thomas. To the horror of viewers, Ray fell genuinely in love with Laurel, and astonishingly, she returned his feelings. Their relationship became a turning point in the narrative. Laurel represented everything Ray had been denied: kindness, stability, and the possibility of redemption. For the first time, he glimpsed a life beyond Celia's control. It was a masterstroke of storytelling, allowing viewers to see Ray not just as a villain, but as a damaged man shaped by years of abuse. Celia, however, quickly recognized the threat Laurel posed. Jealous, possessive, and unwilling to relinquish control, she moved swiftly to eliminate what she saw as a weakness. Her plan to flee the village with Ray over the festive season marked the beginning of the end. In a chilling twist, Celia ordered Ray to kill April, viewing her as a loose end that could expose everything. On New Year's Eve, Ray found April alone, terrified and begging for her life. In a moment heavy with symbolism, he chose mercy. Unable to become the monster Celia demanded, Ray spared April, handed her money, and told her to disappear. When Celia discovered what Ray had done, years of manipulation and abuse erupted into a final confrontation. Accusations flew, emotions boiled over, and the psychological damage Celia had inflicted came flooding back. In a moment of desperation and clarity, Ray plunged a knife into his adoptive mother. Celia Daniels died in her son's arms, the architect of so much suffering finally silenced by the very person she had shaped into a weapon. Her death marked the end of one of Emmerdale's darkest chapters, but it also opened the door to new questions. Ray is finally free from Celia's control, but freedom comes with consequences. Can he live with what he's done? Will the village ever forgive him? And is redemption truly possible after such unimaginable harm? As the dust settles, Emmerdale leaves viewers with a haunting truth. Sometimes the most dangerous villains are not defeated by heroes, but by the cracks in their own carefully constructed worlds. Celia Daniels is gone, but the scars she left behind will haunt the Dales for a long time to come. In the immediate aftermath of Celia's death, the ripple effects begin to spread through the village. Sirens pierce the quiet of the Dales as the truth finally starts to emerge, and long-buried secrets are dragged into the light. For those who suffered under Celia's control, there is an overwhelming mix of relief and disbelief. Justice has arrived, but at an unimaginable cost. April, having narrowly escaped with her life, is left traumatized yet alive. While she is physically safe, the emotional damage Celia inflicted will take far longer to heal. Surrounded by Marlon and Rona, April begins the slow process of recovery, grappling with guilt, fear, and the knowledge that her tormentor is gone. The question remains whether closure is truly possible after such sustained abuse. Marlon and Rona, meanwhile, are forced to confront their own emotions. Relief that Celia can no longer harm their daughter is tempered by the horrifying realization of how close April came to losing her life. Their anger now turns inward, replaying every missed sign and moment of trust that allowed Celia to get so close. Yet, there is also resolve, determination to rebuild their family and ensure April is never vulnerable again. For Beowulf, the news of Celia's death brings a complicated sense of vindication. Knowing that the woman who exploited his son will never hurt anyone else offers some comfort, but it does little to erase the damage already done. Paddy, still recovering from his own ordeal, must face the long road back to normality with the support of those around him. Moradingle reacts in typical fashion, direct and unapologetic. While she makes no secret of her disdain for Celia, Maura also understands that violence leaves consequences. The fall of Celia's criminal operation threatens to expose others, and Maura braces herself for the potential fallout as investigations begin. At the center of it all is Ray Walters. With Celia dead, Ray is no longer under her control, but freedom comes wrapped in fear. Haunted by what he's done and the years of manipulation that led him there, Ray faces an uncertain future. Will he confess? Will the weight of guilt finally break him? Or will he attempt to disappear, just as he once told April to do? Laurel, unaware of the full extent of Ray's actions, senses a shift in him almost immediately. The warmth she once saw is now overshadowed by turmoil and regret. As the truth edges closer to the surface, Laurel may soon be forced to confront a devastating reality. The man she believed she knew may be responsible for an unforgivable act. As the village reels, the wider implications of Celia's crimes begin to surface. Police investigations threaten to uncover the full scale of her trafficking operation, raising difficult questions about who knew what and when. For Emmerdale, the storyline serves as a sobering reminder of how evil can hide in plain sight, thriving on silence and fear. With Celia's reign over, a new chapter begins, one defined not by control, but by consequences. Redemption, justice, and healing now hang in the balance, and the Dales must face the aftermath together.